and other Fed officials say they cannot ride immediately to the rescue of the economy and markets, even while they face heightened recession risk. And you can see why all this is true in a flash Fed survey we did over the weekend. The chance of a recession, it's not just J.P. Morgan, it's 56% for the average of our respondents. That's up 33 points since January. That's the fastest rise we have ever seen. The GDP outlook down 1.7 percentage points to an anemic 0.7. And then the CPI up by almost a percentage point, the outlook to 3.6%. So look, it's clear here. Rising inflation chance, much weaker growth with a higher recession probability. So why doesn't the Fed just cut? Well, the Fed's dilemma is this. We're not seeing many doves on the committee right now. Why? Because they've been fighting inflation for 2 years. They do not want to see that progress, that hard-won inflation progress lost. And then the Fed chair on Friday saying very clearly the Fed has an obligation to keep tariff inflation from becoming more widespread. And looking at the other, also, one thing that could bring the Fed into action here is the possibility of some concern on financial risk or systemic risk. We're not seeing that right now. In fact, the Treasury Secretary said very clearly that he does not see any issues. If that remains the case, that'd be another reason to keep the Fed on the sideline. We'll have to watch that very closely here. And now, one reason that would also keep the Fed on the sideline is uncertainty. Take a look at our next graphic here. We asked people, how long will these tariffs be in effect? You don't have to study this graphic to know expectations are all over the place. Less than 3 months, 14%. 3 to 12 months, 20%. 1 to 2 years, 17%. Through the end of Trump's term, 24%. And maybe an honest 24% who say they just don't know. With other shocks, the Fed could come in preemptively, but the president has really tied the Fed's hands here with a much larger than expected shock to the system that promises higher inflation and weaker growth. So the Fed, for now, it can only wait and watch, and the market, Brian, could be overestimating how much or how soon the Fed can help.